come to breaking down the song. We are going to go over No Longer a Slave, a song I had worked on with the amazing Sabaya. It's a cover originally from an amazing artist. When I first heard this song, it touched me very from a good place. I seen him perform this in actually a jail where he was bringing a lot of inspiration to people who will never see a day of freedom ever again unless it's within the prison. So it was very inspiring to see that, and being able to put my own twist and inspiration on it was definitely something I admire quite a bit. The approach I took this was very much from an emotional heart, straight from the heart, making sure that you get it in a way that it resonated with me in my life, because this had touched me as well. So what I was just playing just now is the intro of the song. Pretty much is how this starts off. What I did inside of the production, actually, it's a little different because I stacked quite a bit of instruments on it. The first part, of course, is the piano that you heard. Right? Got that. I also have some Rhodes. You could hear it slightly. All I did was stack it with the Rhodes. I didn't really replay this back again because I just wanted this to sound not as original, just straight from the piano. Right? I wanted to be a little bit more spacious because that's where a lot of my sounds come from when I'm doing original music. So I wanted to give that feel. So I'm using the synth here from a plugin called FM8. It's called the Fifth Circle. So I got a very spacious vibe to it, right? And then this is the next one. It's called a Sad Sally. It's also another plugin from FM8. Very spacious and airy. It makes it seem like you are in a galaxy, right? When I was mixing these, because we got to level these off, I made sure this was more of the dominant feel, and I stacked it with everything else underneath. The last layer of this is something also from FM8. It's called a Mark III piano. So it's a very artificial piano that you're hearing right now. Right? So let's put all these together, and what do you have is this new sound, right? I like to do that. You hear that? So it doesn't sound like a piano. It doesn't sound too synthy as well. It's a merge of everything. So we have that, and then I have my pads. You know you gotta have the pads. It's called the Sculpture plugin from Logic, and I'm using the ambient pads. That's the name of the synth. It's called the ambient pad, and that's all it is. It's just a filler in the background. You're not hearing it as much with the other instruments playing, but it's just there. Next, we have these vocal samples. So this is part of my sound pack. I forgot where I originally got these from and spliced it up, but it's this oh sound that you're gonna hear, right? Right, you hear that? Oh. Alright, so let me take all the plugins off of this so that you can resonate and see exactly how I was able to get this together. I'm going to turn off all the other plugins. Oh. So you hear how that sound, right? So the first thing I did was I put this something called the ultra pitch, and I changed the format. The format is going to make it sound like from like a very pitchy sound, like a tiny kid or minion sound, to now much more of like a big colossal voice. So the higher I make the format, so I'm gonna play that part one more time. Right, so this is the lower format, but if I made it high, as you can see, right, oh, the lower it is gonna give you more of that open airy voice. So that's what I wanted for this, so I kept it at that. And next thing I did was I played with my EQ. Took off the high ends and the low ends because I didn't want it to mesh with her vocals as much. I just wanted this to feel more like an instrument. See, she's tucked in. Now I'm gonna reverb the crap out of this by quite a bit. Put that delay on it so that it can feel like it's repeating. It's in a repeated like chamber, right? You see how it's playing with your speakers? It's bouncing back and forth. when you layer some reverb on that delay that's happening, and on top add another reverb on top of the main one, it makes it sound very spacious. And I had 2 different reverbs on this. I'm gonna put both of them on so you can hear that. See that? It just makes it sound like it's in an open space, all airy, which is the feel I wanted for this, because that's more of my original sound whenever I am doing original productions. After that, I also had some strings in the beginning when it got to this part right here. So after I play this, right here, you can hear it a little bit. So I'm gonna play the strings by itself so you can hear them. And that's it. We cut it right there. Just that part in the beginning. The last thing I add on the intro is my bass, right? You know, we gotta have that bass. So the first part of the bass is more of the natural bass from Contact. As you know, I love that bass, right? That comes in. So it's and you hear that glide. So that's what I love about this plugin, is it's able to emulate someone who's actually playing the bass. So certain things like they do like that, they glide down the strings. You can't really do that on the piano without it sounding fake, but this plugin is able to pull that off. It just naturally has that natural feel a bass player would actually play. But I also have the Basement Bass, which is a plugin in the ES2 pack inside of Logic. So it's just a rumble. It's not doing anything else, right? Just that. And then the last part is my Trance lead, because that's what's gonna make it sound, the bottom sound a little bit dark and spacious. And I needed that in this song, so I added it right here, right? Right there. So it's playing all throughout wherever the bass comes in. I pretty much only brought in the bass at the times where I had the natural bass playing. The other 2 parts, right? The basement bass and the trance lead bass. That brings that darkness to it and spacious. Once I got all these all together, now it's just time to actually go to the verse. So within the verse, and I'll just break that down right here. So within the verse, I have the pianos playing, of course, right? My 5 stacks with the pads. Hear the O in the background?
With a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone.
What they did on this song, which was kind of cool, the first verse, so they went more of like much more in the low end, and it just was this part, and it just stayed there, and they changed the chords, right? But they kept the bass note the same. It's cool. Like, I haven't done that in a song. I've heard it before, but I've never done that. So they did that in the song. That was cool to see where it's actually applicable. In the second verse, they changed it, and I'm going to get to it afterwards. But that was amazing. I kept on that playing throughout the verse, and then the chorus comes in, right? And she starts singing right here.
I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God.
Yeah, her vocals is phenomenal. Sabaya is an amazing artist. I worked with her maybe like 4 or 5 years ago with something else I needed. She killed it, and I'm just glad that she responded to work on this with me. She is a true amazing singer. She's doing quite a bit of things right now, so be sure to check her out. I was not able to get her to get a dialogue on an interview, but our process together was pretty great, and I'm gonna give that to you in a little bit. Once we got past through the chorus, the first chorus, now going to second verse. Remember I told you it's a little different, and it was so magical how the song was pretty much put together. So second verse is a little different. So it starts off with this, right? And it goes to this right here. And it changes the mood quite a bit. I was like, wow, how did they think of that? Right? And then they go to this right here. And they do it again. It's beautiful. And how she killed this too, it's like, wow. I was like, Sabaya, you nailed it with all the riffs, right? Bring her right here.
From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name.
She killed that, and I needed her to do that at that point. It was that transitioning of the different chords. For some reason, it just brought me back to childhood state where I was thinking about all these ballads I used to hear, but it just made me feel like a kid again. But I'm inside of like Cinderella's ballroom, about to get this magical moment that's happening. That's what that felt like at that point. And sometimes that's how we visualize music as producers, composers, right? We visualize the scenery and we put it to actual music, and that's the state I was at that point in time. And she nailed that part. It blew my mind. And then right here,
I've been born again into your family. Your blood.
that took it all the way home. After she did that, I was just phenomenal. I was just blown away. But that was most of the production that we did on this. It was something different. I wanted to make sure it's spacious, out of the ordinary. It wasn't just playing the organic instruments like piano, bass, and such, but it had that spacious feel to it. Other than that, it went through like the bridge, and then we got through the end, and it was pretty cool that she just delivered.
We're the suns and the dawn. You split the sea so I can walk right through it.
Yeah, and then we ended off like at the end, just pretty awesome. So I'm gonna jump into our original working session that we had, where there was just the piano, there was nothing else to it, and then she delivered the vocals. So the way we worked on all of these is I recorded the piano versions. Once I got that done, then I sent it to the singers for them to sing over. We went back and forth, and the amazing process that me and Sabaya had, the first take she sent me of this, she knew the song. So that's a great thing, is that she already knew the song, because I had a few other songs in the selection. So she picked this one in Reckless Love, but this was the one that we worked on first. Because she picked this one out, I knew she had a very personal connection to it. And that's how sometimes you just know this is the person that needs to do a particular job for you. I sent her the piano version. She sent the first take back. I was like, nah, Sabaya, this ain't it. Like, I need you in there. Like, I know this song has a touch to you that you have got to express in there. And second take, she came back around. She nailed it, right? She was a little bit holding back on the first one. But the second take, she did not hold back. She put every nook and cranny in there and make sure everything was exposed. Her heart was all indulged in it, and people can really feel that. At least that's what it was for me. So I hope you got the same sense when you're actually hearing this full song. But the piano version,
We shall no longer be afraid.
and the original recording, I think I had to change the key to transpose it, because it's not a key that she was comfortable in singing. But it's all good, right? We made it work.
We shall no longer be afraid.
Like, all those little parts where she added, she was talking, that was all her. We didn't plan for all of that. That's what she gave me on that second take. And I was like, yes, that's it. You felt not shy. You expressed yourself fully. And you know what God has done for you. And you are letting people know about this in the song. So
I'm no longer.
I'm going to take out all her vocals, so that all the effects on her vocals, so that you can hear the rawness of how she was on that original take. See how good she is, because Sabaya is bomb.
I'm no longer a slave to fear.
See that?
'Cause I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear.
She nailed that. She nailed nailed that. Effects wise, of course, we know we love to play with our delays, so we have the first one here.
I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child.
So this one we're bringing in and out. Even though it's a fast delay, I'm bringing it in and out. And I'm going to crank it up a little bit so you can hear what it's doing.
I'm no longer a slave to fear.
So you see I'm putting only on some words that are in between her singing it before she takes a pause. So when she says this first phrase right here,
I'm no longer.
I did it on longer, right?
I'm no longer enslaved to fear.
But I did not do it on fear because I needed it to cut off by the time she finished so it doesn't feel like it was just going.
To fear.
So there is that silence.
'Cause I am a
I
child.
did on I am, right?
'Cause I am a child of God.
And I didn't do it on God.
You unravel me.
On me right there. So that's one delay I had in there. The next delay I used is this one right
I'm
here.
no longer a slave to fear.
So the to fear had to be a slower delay. To fear, to fear, to fear. The other one was more like, right? It was double time. But this one is just at the tip of her endings.
Slave to fear. 'Cause I am a child of God.
So that's the next delay. And then I had one more delay on this, which was a little different again.
I'm no longer a slave to fear. 'Cause I am.
This one was not automated at all. This was playing all throughout. This is the one I like to tuck in to give a different presence in the song, right? So if we play that.
I'm no longer a slave to fear. 'Cause I am
Playing all
a
throughout.
child
But we tuck it
of
in
God.
so you could barely hear it.
You unravel me.
That's the last delay. And in each one of those delays, I make sure I put some reverb so that way as they're echoing, it's echoing inside of a chamber and you're not hearing it to be dead dry. I had two reverbs on her voice. The first one here, right?
I'm no longer a slave to fear. 'Cause I am a child.
Bring out the wetness. And then the second one is more to manipulate the reverb to give it more of a large hall feel that feels more authentic, right?
I'm no longer a slave to fear.
So you hear that? The second reverb has more of that natural, I feel, realistic feel to it. It's from Bverb, right? So that's Nomad Factory makes this plugin. So this was pretty cool. To hear that, it was just like amazing.
I'm no longer a slave to fear.
Right, we got that.
'Cause I am a child of God. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies till all my fears are gone.
So that's pretty much it in terms of our vocal stacks. She is amazing. I can't say that she always nails the mark in everything that she does. She's just a very great performer in terms of controlling her vocals, making sure she's not cracking, going off note. We have that good chemistry working together at least, and she's very attentive to what we communicate, right? And I try to give her open space to express herself as much as possible. She's an amazing artist. I can say that we had a very great working relationship, and I wish you could learn more a bit about her, but unfortunately she's not quite available right now. So that was pretty much it in terms of vocals. So let me jump back to the production one more time.
You unravel me.
So with this song, when I was doing the mastering, and the way I mastered pretty much for this project is I did it inside of the production session, because I typically do output of left and right stereo. I have a 2-track and I'll master it inside of Logic, just focused on those 2 tracks. But because this was a different kind of project, I did the mastering all in here. So I was going back and forth between the mastering and the mix actually because of the bass. The bass was giving me a little bit of trouble in blending with her vocals, because at some point I felt like, was her vocals buried inside of the song? Is it sitting on top? I wanted to feel very ambient to it, but I wanted to sit right. So I was going back and forth between the bass. Mastering is much more of you making sure your lows, your mids, and your highs, they're well balanced, and they're not all over the place. It's sitting all right. You're taking out any unnecessary frequency that's either hurting people's ears or very bothering to people's ears, right? Or boosting parts that needs to be heard more and feel more fuller. And then lastly, you're throwing that limiter on it so it could be as loud as you're transitioning from one song to another song compared to other songs. So that's the purpose of mastering. That's why we do it. And I was going back and forth between the mix, especially like when you hear this part, when she starts with the verse here. I referenced this part right here as really the part I kept on looping around to make sure that her voice was sitting right on this and it wasn't overburied, right?
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song.
I did like probably 4 or 5 different versions of the mixing and mastering for this, but in the end it all came out pretty nicely, because when she got to the chorus I was like,
I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child.
it was pretty well balanced. Now I didn't want this to be very boomy at all. It was just like one of those things you keep trial and error until you get it right, because the tiny 1 dB, one little volume more or one little volume less on a particular instrument or the bass or bottom, it could really affect the feeling of the song. So I had to play around with that quite a bit for me to nail that down. And then finally, I found something I was happy with, and hopefully you are happy with it as well. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you and all the other ones. So I hope you found this insightful. You learned a bit more about the process as a producer, mixer. I'm doing it all, right? I'm mixing it all, as well as if you're just someone that was just into production and you just wanted to get some pointers about certain things here and there. I hope you found something out of this as well. Definitely give this a thumbs up if you did. Share it as well if someone you know can probably hear about this as well as gain something from this, not just from the learning aspect but also spiritually, as this did not come from thin air. This came from my own experience in life, hearing the song and expressing it back to you in a way that I formulated it with my feelings, and hoping that it touched your life in a particular way, the same way that God has impacted my life. Of course, subscribe for future contents and everything else I might have going on. You can always give me your thoughts and feedback. Be honest with me. Drop it in the comments below so that way we can get a conversation going whatsoever. And always shoot me an email. You can shoot me at yarleyg.com. Also check out the website yarleygmusic.com. Stay in touch with me for us to just be in the loop with one another as I'm sharing different ideas. If you are interested in hearing like of different versions of this, even just the piano simplified version, shoot me an email. Just let me know. I mean, so peace and love, and I look forward to sharing this with you. I'll see you next time. Yeah.